Hey everyone, welcome back. Today we're finally going to get into styling, which is really nice because I'm tired of looking at this terrible app. So we're going to add Tailwind CSS and we're going to start styling things and it will look a lot better. So let's get to it. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to install Tailwind CSS. And I like using Tailwind because it makes it very easy to quickly change your styles. You just apply the classes directly to your elements, and so you don't end up with these giant CSS files. And if you understand how CSS works, like if you understand the selectors themselves, it's pretty nice if you haven't used it yet. So I'm going to use this gem, which is just a gem that helps install Tailwind. And so I'm just going to add the gem to the gem file. Get done here. Go ahead and bump this up. Bundle install. We've already installed Webpacker because that comes with Rails. So I'm going to install Tailwind CSS. Okay, and done that. Now let's add this little block. Okay, so this little snippet here is just telling if we're in development. So if we're in the development environment, if rails.m.development is true, we are allowing ourselves to connect to this, looks like a WebSocket on localhost. Okay, inside of config webpacker, you must set extract CSS to true. And then add the pack tags to our layout, which we already have. So if we go over to our server, let's go ahead and close the console. We're probably not going to need that. Let's restart it just for good measure. And so now, if we come back over here to our app and refresh, so I see Webpacker compiling in the logs. That's good. Okay, so now if I apply a Tailwind class, so let's do, you do background red 100 maybe? That didn't work. Class, background, red 100. Why are you not taking my class? Is this a Firefox versus Chrome thing? Usually you can hit enter on Chrome. And it is just not letting me do it. That is very weird. Firefox, why? Why you do this? This is going to be very annoying if I can't do this. Okay. Well, might have to work around that. Let's go ahead and go to the Tailwind docs real quick. Get those open. So just a quick little primer on Tailwind. Once you've got it included in working, which I'm not totally sure we have yet, it gives you a bunch of utility classes. So there's this default color scheme that Tailwind has, which you can see here. And so if you wanted to make an element with the red background using this palette or this swatch, then you would just give it the class .background red 600. So that's what I did here. I gave it red 100. Well, I did. Oh, that's my mockup. Okay, so here's the app. So I've given it background red 100. Which maybe that's too light to be able to tell, so let's just go to 500. Okay, I'm not seeing the class as doing anything. So let's put it on here. Let's put it back in our editor. Background red 500. Okay, so something is not loading it. So let's go back to this README. Did we forget anything? We said extract true, right? Does that get replaced somewhere else? Nope, just that one. Okay. Let's look at our post CSS config. Seems okay. Okay, so here it says it should create a JavaScript CSS folder. So let's see if we have that. We do. Okay, we're importing the 3 Tailwind things. So in the Tailwind docs, there are notes about how to do this with Webpacker. Let's try just yarn installing. No, everything's good. Oh, am I missing the style sheet pack tag? That's what it is. So here I have the style sheet link, which is using just the normal Rails asset pipeline. So it would be including things here. So if this is right, if I do body, background color red, so this should work. Okay, so this is using the asset pipeline, and what we want is we want the pack style sheet, which is what Webpacker generates. So we're not really using turbo links. Let's just get rid of that. So now we have the pack tag instead of the style sheet or the asset pipeline. Okay, there we go. So we see the background red 5, which is this kind of reddish white color. The font's also changed, if you notice that. Okay. So one thing I'm also going to do is I have my mockups open on the other monitor, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to copy the Google fonts that we're using. So we're using Montserrat. Probably said that wrong. Sorry, French language. And we're using Roboto. And Roboto is for the text, and then the other one is just for the logo. Okay, so now we are installed. So let's go ahead and start doing stuff with it. Okay, so if we look at our mockup, first thing, let's just start right at the top and let's work on this nav section. Okay, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and not just copy from my existing mockup, because I mean I could come in here and just look at everything, but I'm going to try and go through how I would think about building this. And so the first thing I notice is that there's space around this. And so what I want to do is I want to make a nav element. So coming back to our body, we'll say nav. Generally, if you have like a nav that has other things in the nav. Maybe you want to do those with divs. Maybe you want to do them with lists. Either way, let's get back to our dashboard. Okay, so I'll just use a list, and let's make our name of our app a link. Just make that go to / for now, or we'll see. We can use the Rails routes. Let's have that go to the root path. So let's just get the content on there, and then what we'll end up putting over here is our hamburger icon when we get that going. Okay. So now we have this. So I'm going to go ahead and get rid of all these three things. Well, we'll keep them for now because that will end up going in the menu. So what we can do here is we can give this a class of menu, which we're going to end up reusing later. And then let's just do style display none. Well, yeah, we can do that. So let's just get that off the page. Oh, we want this to go to dashboard path. That's right. Okay, so now here's our nav. Not very exciting. So we need these to be across from each other. That means we're going to use the Flexbox classes. So let's make this UL. Let's say class flex, which brings them in line, and then we want to tell them how to space it. So let's say, is it space between, I think? Forget what this is called. Oh, it's a justify. Justify between. Okay, so now we have these positioned in the places they need to be, but we need this padding or this space all around it. And so let's go ahead and give this P-4. So if we look at our padding classes over here in the Tailwind docs, they go from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 10, 12, 16, 20. So they're not just every number. We're skipping some, and there are these rim values. So we're kind of, there's a lot of variations in the beginning. So maybe you want to have like little padding adjustments, but the difference between, say, 14 padding and 16, you probably don't need 15 padding. You don't need 5 or 15.5 rim. As you get bigger, the gaps aren't as important. Okay, so now we got some spacing going. Let's go ahead and work on this text. And this is the area where I'm going to do a little bit. This is probably like one of the few classes I'm going to make. And I'm going to make, I'm just going to call it logo. And because what I need to do is I need to apply the font to this. So let's just go over here and let's take this font family. And that will need to recompile because we changed the pack file. Okay. So now if we come over here to computed, should see our font family working. Oh, well, we shouldn't because we did not give it the class. So if we go back to our link, we say class logo. Now we see that the font has changed. Okay, and the other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to use, I think they're called directives. So I'm going to apply some of these Tailwind things to this custom class using this add apply keyword. So to make this text look like this, I say add apply font bold, I think. And then text uppercase, or maybe it's just uppercase. Am I doing this right? Yeah, they're just spaced. And then tracking wide, I believe. And so this should, missing semicolon. Okay, so something is wrong with our Webpack config. So it didn't build the manifest, it looked like. So something caused this to not build correctly. So let's restart and see if that helps. Could be a syntax problem. Webpacker cannot find application in manifest. So let's get rid of this apply and see if that's what's making it happen. Okay, well, so it's something how we're doing this. Okay, well, what we can do instead is just do classic Tailwind stuff in here. So we can just add these classes here. Probably won't end up reusing this much because it's going in the layout, so it doesn't necessarily have to be on that class. Okay, so now this looks like this. This looks a little smaller. So this has text large on it. So let's try that. Did that make it bigger or smaller? Oh, I'm zoomed in here. Okay, that makes sense. So now they're the same size. Okay, the other thing I'm going to grab is this Font Awesome kit that I made. Well, actually, since we're in a Rails project, we can just go ahead and grab the gem. I had to build a kit because I was using a static file, HTML file. So let's grab Font Awesome Rails. And let's go back and see how we set this up. So just installing the gem, put in the gem file, bundle, and then in your application CSS, we're going to add this. So that means that we will need that style sheet tag. So application.css, require, go back to our layout. So let's do style sheet link tag. So now we're including both the pack and the link. Okay, and now let's add our dashboard icon to see if this works. So here I'm just going to copy that over from my static mockup, and it did not work. maybe there's a different way to reference this since we're using this gem. Okay, yeah, so something happened. I think Font Awesome changed between like 4 and 5, trying to go to like a free and a paid model. So what I'm going to do to make this work is I'm going to just include this kit that I made. So let's go ahead and remove this gem. And if we want, that's something we can look at to see if there's maybe an updated way to do this. So let's remove it from our CSS file and go back to the layout. Okay, so this should, yeah, so here's our icon again. Okay. So it's currently going to menu.html, which is not a thing, but that's okay for now. Okay, so this looks like a darker color than this does. And this has some kind of hover on it. Where's that coming from? It's coming from inline style sheet. Interesting. Is this part of the Tailwind reset? Okay, well, we don't want that to be red on hover. That's for sure. So let's go back to our application CSS pack file. And on hover, oh, this is just a CSS file. Okay. So to avoid messing with this more, just go ahead and set the color. Well, actually, we're going to need to use the Tailwind. Let's just use the Tailwind stuff. That makes more sense. So there's a way to specify, there's like a prefix you give things. This is not a good page to be on. So where are the hover variants? Pointer events? No, that's for the cursor. So there's a way. Yeah, that's what I'm looking for. So you do hover colon. So for example, if we want to do hover colon, and then let's do, see how you set color. Is it just text or is it color? It's been a little bit since I've worked with these. Not customization. Where's just like text color? There it is. I guess it's just text, so we can make this like text orange 800, which would be pretty dark orange. Oh, we're in the menu. Okay, so there we see it's kind of an orange color. So here this doesn't have a hover color now. Why is that? Interesting. Don't know why that all of a sudden doesn't have a hover. Oh, are there files in this asset pipeline that were already made? Is there anything in here that has a reset that I included that was changing things? That's what it is. Okay, this could be it. So this scaffold style sheet that Rails created for me, I think I was including this via the style link, and that's maybe why we got some. Or it could be something else. But anyways, okay, so long way to get that one little nav going, but now we're set up pretty well, so we should be able to move into this button. Go a little faster than that. Okay, so now let's open our dashboard. So on the dashboard so far we don't have this button, so let's go ahead and add that. Let's do a link to, let's do track. And we're going to go to, what do we call this? The inputs page or /today. Let's go to today path. And then for classes, so I see uppercase. Looks like the font could be a little smaller. So maybe like text. Is it size? What did I say here? Yeah. So maybe like text small. Well, I guess we can just inspect here. So text is normal size. But we do have a blue background, 500. If the text is white, we have a bold font, uppercase, tracking wide, and then center the text. Okay, so that's good. The other thing we need is to display as blocks, so it'll take up the full space. And then now we're missing the padding around this. So it looks like we have PY4. So the y-axis is 4, x-axis is 4. Looks like I was playing with those maybe independently. We can just combine those to padding 4. And then we need some space around this button. So here we have a margin bottom of 6. And then where's the padding? So let's put this margin bottom on the button. So this is technically in whatever is wrapping this. So there's this div, which we can just add, let's say margin bottom 6 on this button. Okay. Do we have rounded? No, we don't have rounded corners, so let's go ahead and add that. And then, so what I'm missing, I think, is this this entire view, which looks like maybe that's just like the body has some padding on it. So what we could do here is just say padding 4 around whatever is yielded. So that's just everything, every Rails view. Okay, so now we have some padding there. Okay, looking better. So now we've got this little div which is acting as like a separator for the two sections. So let's go back to our dashboard. Let's add that in. I have this little Vim binding thing that will, if I do like dot something and then I hit a command, it'll make it into a div with that class. Just if you're wondering how that's happening. Okay, so we've got our little line. And now we need these sections. So this first section for the days and the total. So first we've just got a div with some margin on the bottom and top. Displaying it as flex, which I don't think we have to do. Oh, so it's putting it horizontal by default. Okay. So we can go down this, so we can do flex, margin top 4, margin bottom 4, so we can just say margin 4 on this. Internally in these two cells, so we have something that's flexing, flex column, so saying stack these two things right here. Width is 1/2 for each. We've got padding of 2, and then the text is center. Whoops. Try to run the test. Okay, so let's grab our 2 days. Let's put those in. And then we've got a duplication of this for the number of activities. Can't talk today. Okay. So that looks great. So for this top part, make the text a little smaller, change the color, make it a little less dark of gray. And then for the actual text, we want that bigger and darker, since that's the content that we actually will care about the most. Okay, so why are these two not displaying separated? Is the question. Oh, it's because I did not type this right. So I have width 1 instead of width 1/2. And then same thing down here. Cool. Okay, so I believe these two sections are styled the same text-wise. They should be, so I'm just going to copy these two and then just grab the actual text in here. Okay, so we've got those two. This next section is a slightly different. Same grid setup, so we've got this row and we've got 2 elements that are half each. The text is the same, but we've got these. Gets a little different when we get into this, the data part. So I'm just going to copy these 2 things. Let's grab this text. And then, so now what we need is this section right here. So basically wrapping these 2 things in a div so we can display them next to each other. And then it looks like this. So we have this large text first. Go ahead and make that a paragraph tag. So this is going to be best streak. And then let's grab our content. So there's the streak. Here's the description for the attribute. Let's go ahead and grab this text for this class here. So we're going to make it smaller. Going to make it bold, similar to our headings. Okay, so that is should be our first one. So let's go ahead and take this first one and drop it down here. And now let's build this daily average. So daily average, starting with a slightly different setup. Here we're putting the items by their baseline. So let's grab this. And then we get the text. So we're making it 5XL, making it slightly yellow. Let's grab our daily average. And then for the supporting text, similar thing, just making it small. And then we'll just have out of 8. Okay, so a couple things to change here. We have daily average is the title. This physical is showing the full text. So what we can do here is we can use, what is that called? Is it slice? So we can take the first 3 elements. Is that a range or is that a... Yeah, so you can do slice, integer to integer. So I'm going to take the 0th element, so the first one, through the second. And it's not inclusive, apparently. So I could do a range here, possibly. So in the mockups I show 4, but I'll just leave it with 3 here. So from 0 to 2. Okay, so I noticed that vertically we're not lining up like we are here. Or are we? Yeah, actually it looks like it is centered. Just looks a little off because the numbers are small. Okay, so continuing on, we have this same structure here. So notice we're doing margin 6 as opposed to 4. Oh, that's margin bottom. Okay, so yeah, these have margin 4 on them. So basically we're going to grab, say, these things. Go ahead and give this margin bottom 6, since that's what I put before. Give it a little more space from this bottom section. Okay, and then here we're going to call this most consistent. And so it feels a little too spaced out. This feels tighter. This is tracking wide. This is tracking wide. This is also tracking wide. Feels kind of a little bit too much. Feels a little better. Okay, let's go ahead and copy this and do the focus on section. And then here we have pretty simple 2XL. Here we're doing leading none, so we're not doing any. We're using I believe that's an even shorter. Is that no spacing? Or how does that work? I forget now. Letter spacing. No, that's the, that's not it. That's the, is it the line height? I was thinking of letter space. Yeah, okay. So it's just a line height of 1. Okay, so let's grab our most consistent. Put in the wrong one. Put this here. Okay, we're missing some type of margin or padding there. So there is a margin bottom of 2 on these. Okay, so now we need our little divider again. So we've got that, and now we can do this quote section. So why do we need flex on this? Okay, that must be left over. So margin top 4, and then now let's style this quote section. So I'm using a block quote element. Just seemed appropriate for a quote. So we got block quote. That didn't work. And so we've got a border, we've got a light gray background, we've got a border left of 4, and it's this blue 400, so that gives it that line on the left side. So let's put the text. Okay, and then let's put the author. And then this little external link. So the font awesome portion of this that's giving it that icon is this piece, the external link alt, and then we're just making it slightly less dark, giving it a margin left, making it small. Okay, and what we want to do here, let's go ahead and expand this out a little bit. So we actually want this editor, stop it. We want this to actually link out to the actual thing. So we're going to do link to. We're going to send it to our external URL that we set up. And then we're going to say do. And so this allows us to customize the HTML that goes in it. And my editor does not like this formatting. And so now we have this little link right here, which apparently is just going to the dashboard right now. Is that where I sent that? I thought I gave that a real URL. Let's just put this on the page and see where it goes. Oh, it's because this quote doesn't have one. So what we need to do is we say if the quote has a URL, then we add it. Okay, so nothing here. And then we have this quote here, which links off. Cool. Okay, so here's our mockup, and here's our final result. So pretty close, if not somewhat exact. Okay, so there's our dashboard, all styled like the mockup. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just copy over the other pages, the input, the login, logout, and menu, because I don't think it's very useful or entertaining for you to continue to watch me copy stuff over. I think through seeing this, you see that Tailwind's pretty easy to use if you know which class you want. There's a couple pages that I still need to kind of design and lay out, so maybe I'll do a video of me just kind of poking around and kind of figuring out what I want it to look like. But that's where I'll leave it for here. And after this, I think I'm going to try and get into some email sending stuff. And then we're pretty close to the deployment part. And so this can be a real thing that I can start using and putting data in. So I will see you in the next one. Feel free to leave me a comment below or questions or reach out to me at Twitter. Thanks.